Yeah, sometimes you're just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You're just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever. Yeah, check it out. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 11 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is Victoria, who online goes by Pink Pineapple Tarot. She's a successful tarot reader. I would say, you have over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think close to 12 million views or over 12 million views. So, and I've seen, you've been doing it for a long time. I think your first tarot reading that you uploaded was around November 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And so you've been doing it since then. And you have, I would say, a loyal fan base that that constantly comes back. And, I'll share about how I found out about you in a while. But, I wanted to ask you first about how you got started with tarot reading. Like, I know, tarot readers get like, it's good and bad, but nowadays I see more good personally. I know there's still like, some people are very hesitant to, to talk about tarot, to look at tarot, to get tarot readings. So I want to know how you got started with tarot. It's obviously a spiritual thing. So, did you have spiritual experiences when you were little? Like, were you already experiencing things and then something pushed you into tarot, or how exactly that happened for you?
Well, I've always been into astrology, like even since I was younger. And I've always been into that. And I always, like, growing up, if you're somebody who's kind of like woke up, so to speak, you do realize like how you were different than other people that were around you, in school and things like that. But yeah, I feel like I was always, somewhat aware growing up. And then how I got into tarot was, there was a couple things. I was going through, like a transitional phase, in my life where I really was waking up. Okay. Or I kind of woke up and then things started falling apart in my life. Because, I was about to start a new path. So things had to go. And a couple girlfriends of mine that I was kind of like leaning on for support, I was hanging out at their house, and the one girl, she had a deck of cards. And so we were just kind of giving readings to each other. But the reading that I did, like, it really, they were like, wow, like, that was on point, with what I was, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that I was doing intuitive reading. I didn't know that, because I've always been artistic too, but I was looking at the pictures and I was kind of picking up like different things and just saying it. So I started with that. And then still going through some things, I was looking up astrology, like, on YouTube. I forget exactly what I typed in, but Amber, Quietest Revolution, she came up, and it was like Leo, August something or whatever. So I was like, what is this? And so I clicked it, and I was just like, oh my God, like, this girl is on point. She was just cards and saying, hey, here's what I see you going through. And then she was also very passionate, like, about her delivery, saying, hey, you need to do ... kind of like saying, here's what you need to do. So that became like one of my rituals. Like, I would get off of work. I don't know, how freely can I speak on here?
As freely as you want.
Okay, yeah. So I would, like, light a joint, and, I would just sit there and chill and watch her reading. It was very therapeutic. So I actually, okay, so I started, the YouTube channel because I was just like, it's kind of one of those things. It may seem like egotistical, but I was just like, I could do this, like, because, you know, with reading the cards and things like that, I was just like, why not just try it out? And I just knew that it would be successful. I knew it. There wasn't a doubt in my mind. And I just knew like I had to just do it, just get on there. And it was awkward at first. You know, God bless the people that stuck with me, because I go back to my early videos and I would take all day. Like, people would be like, you resonate, but we wish you would just spit it out. Like, just say what you want to say, you know? But yeah, I grew. So it was a growing process, but I mean, anyway, that's how I got into tarot.
No, you should have kept going. You don't have to speed it up. Yeah, don't worry about the, you know, because I'll do that too. But it's funny. Yeah, I know, actually, I don't know her by Amber, you said? That's her name, The Quietest Revolution. I seen her as well. And it's funny because, okay, there's so many things I wanted to say, but I'll just, I guess, jump into one. So, you know, it's funny because she's a Gemini, right? And, you know, I'm a Gemini. And so I kind of had that same feeling like, wow, all the readers I resonate the most with are Geminis, you know? And I know you have a Gemini moon, right? Yeah, so that was interesting. And not to make it like, not to throw anything on anybody else, but like, I guess, or maybe someone with Gemini placement tend to be the best readers, or
I've said that before.
Okay.
I've said, because Gemini is very, I don't know, like imaginative. So when they see the cards, they see all these things, they can paint a picture. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, but that's exactly why, like for me being a Gemini, I like the in-depth, like, tell me. And even like The Quietest Revolution, she does like a 2-part kind of thing. Like, first she does the one thing, and then she goes into the other thing. So for me, I like that, like, personally. But it's funny that other people will tell you like, hey, get to the point. You know? So that's interesting to me. And so just to go back a little, so how old were you when you first had that meeting with your friends and you just started reading the cards?
I was, let me think. 2000, what's it, 2022, 5 years. So I'll be 37 this year, so 32. It was right around my Saturn return.
Oh,
so
okay.
Probably 31.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was right. Turns like 29. So
okay. No. So okay. I thought maybe like you had started like, you know, in high school or something, just messing with the cards, or okay.
No, but astrology always been into. I've always been into, you know, the stars and constellations and the universe. Like, I've always been into that, you know.
And you also mentioned like how you've always been artistic, and I heard some of your songs. They're really great, by the way. You have a great voice and everything. Like, I like it, like that Birds Fly High, right? That's one of your songs.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's really good. So you decided to not pursue like music after, or what? Like,
I just went with what, you know, I saw the most growth, what felt very, like, it didn't feel forced. Music, you know, became a thing where I loved it. You know, it was good for me to have that experience, to be in a studio and work with producers and write my music, because I love to write. So that was good that I had that experience in my life. But I definitely feel like a part of my journey, especially even if like we get into charts and everything, is you know, to serve and to help. And I think the best way that I found that I was helping, and what gave me a sense of like, because I do get satisfaction from, you know, reading tarot, but also like the personal readings. Like, I do get a high off of that, you know, like people feeling good about what I'm doing for them. So I just went with what I saw was growing the most, what felt, you know, where I was, you know, I don't want to say celebrated the most, but I mean, they do say, you know, go where you're celebrated, go, you know, go in that direction. So yeah, I just went with that. It was you know, my mom always asked me, and even my kids, they're like, you know, are you going to make more music? Are you going to make more songs? And I'm like, I don't know if I feel, you know, called to do it. But here's the thing. I told my son, I think it was like a couple nights ago, that, you know, the best music comes from artists when you're going through things. And that's when I wrote all my music, when I was going through it, you know? And so now I'm like really happy, you know?
Oh.
Hard to, you know, write, you know, you can write things about being happy, but you can talk to any artist and their best music came when they were going through a breakup, or, you know, just life felt like, you know, it was crashing, you know, around them. So.
Oh, I know that story too well. No, like me, you know, I wrote songs like throughout my life. I've written over 1,000 songs, so that should say something about like my life in general, you know, and I could attest 100%. Like, I knew that too. I just said that to somebody the other day. Like, I know if I hadn't gone through all the stuff I went through, I would have never had, like right now, this is, I think, the driest spot I've ever had with music. Like, I just did one song this year and that's it. And because I guess I'm not in that like, you know, suffering kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. No, and also about that, see, because of the writing songs, I feel like, you know, I've always had like the connection, you know, to whatever, the spirit world, you know, premonitions, sometimes daily, all that crazy stuff. But I always felt it was because I would write so much music and create so much. It was like there was always an open portal, you know, because with music, it comes out of nowhere, right? It's like from the ethers, you just pull it out of the air, you create. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why I always had like some kind of open portal, or I was always making like beats too. I probably made way more than 1,000 beats like in my time. So either producing or writing songs. So there was always an open portal. And I think this is the longest I've gone that I feel kind of disconnected because I was so used to it. So it almost makes you feel like, what's wrong with me? It's like, it's not as open as it used to be. Oh, I was gonna ask you something. I lost my train of thought. Something to do with that, but I forgot. Okay.
Memory. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was trying to think of like how to jog your memory, but go ahead.
Well, I guess I'll just jump into this. I was gonna ask you this as well. So like you were talking about how much satisfaction you get out of helping people. And I noticed, for example, like love tarot readings are like the #1, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if it's sad or it's good. Like everybody's like they're constantly wanting to know about love, like, you know, and like everybody basically. So I don't know what that says about the state of society, humanity, but like, how do you feel about that? Because see, there is like other readers, but a few that will actually do other things and this and that. And I guess they've grown a fan base, so they're able to do that. But for you, obviously, like love readings has been the #1 thing. So I guess my question is also like, do you ever get people that come at you like in a negative way, like, oh, this reading, it's not true, or maybe made a decision because of a reading and they're blaming you for it and all that crazy stuff?
Yeah, I mean, not so much like they made a decision and blaming me, but they get frustrated. Definitely. You know, I have people that sometimes it's far and few between. And it's just because like I can see, you know, and this is just what I think, okay, but I can see what, you know, needs to be done. I feel like the most important thing in a reading is the advice. And I always emphasize that for everyone. I'll tell you, and I remind them, I'm just the vessel that you're receiving this message from, and you take that advice and you do with it what you will. We're all, you know, adults and we have free will. And whatever you choose to do with this information, you know, you do that. But you know, I tell them the advice is the most important part. And a lot of times, because people, how do I say this? They're interesting because, you know, a lot of time, like it's a culture, you know, like people want to get readings sometimes just because they want to find out information, you know, they didn't necessarily come there for advice. But, you know, that's why I do emphasize with the type of reader I am, I have to honor myself too. And, you know, the advice is big for me because it's like outside of the, you know, relationship or what they're getting the reading on, you know, whatever person, all of this is about your growth. You know, you were here on an experience, I think, to, you know, rediscover, I mean, not to offend anyone, but that you're just God having an experience, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I don't want to get like that. We'll go down the rabbit hole with all that.
You can go down the rabbit hole, it's fine.
But I think like once, okay, so I guess like to circle back, like if they get upset and you know, people sometimes, and if they watch this, you know, I love you guys. But, you know, and they're cool. Like they're still clients. Like they still get readings from me, and it's all good. You know, in the beginning, when I was you know, first starting reading, I was very much more in my ego, you know, to where that I would be offended by that, you know, and you know, like I'm not wrong, you know what I mean? I know what I saw. I'm just reading the cards, and but then, you know, once you grow, because I'm growing too, you realize that they're just human. They're just going through something, and you know, sometimes they get frustrated. They're gonna, you know, vent or take out their frustration, and odds are I may be one of those people. If something's going wrong in their love life, and you know, they're like, well, you said this person felt this way, why aren't they doing this? And you know, it's like at the end of the day, and when I talk to them, I tell them this, I'm like, at the end of the day, like, it's not about them. You're getting a reading about them, but it's about you. What are you learning from this? Because you're supposed to be learning something from this experience. And once you, you know, once you understand that, you know, then that's when I feel like a lot of positive things happen, you know, and that's what I try to talk to them about. But, you know, I have to meet people where they're at. I can't expect people to just be in this space where like, oh, okay, you know, this person's not talking to me, and I need to just be okay with that. And, you know, chill out. It's a lot. It's easier. It's very like, you have to master yourself, you know, to get to that level where you understand that whatever that person does, that's what they do. And that's their journey and that's their experience. If that's what they want to do, it's learning how to be unbothered by it. And then asking why is this triggering me? Why is this person, you know, this rejection, why is it making me feel like this? You know what? And that's what I really like to get, you know, especially in the personal readings, even in the extended readings, I really get into all of that, you know, like just the deeper, you know, the deeper part of it, not the surface level. The relationship, whatever's going on is the symptom, but you know, what we need to get to the root of the cause of why this is happening. And it's not about, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, they need to heal and they need to see this, and I can help them, you know, and it's like, but it's not about them though. It's about you. That's the problem. You know what I mean? But again, we're all human. So yeah, they'll come back to me and they'll, you know, even in the comments, which I don't really, you know, one guy went off on me in the comments, and all I said was, you know, I understand, you know, and then he came back and was like, okay, I'm sorry. I appreciate you. Yada, yada. Sometimes people just want to be heard, and that's the thing. And so maybe they just feel like I hear them. So they're going to talk to the person that can hear them. And it, you know, I chose to do this. I chose to, you know, this can get a little hairy, you know, with people, because you're dealing with people's hearts. So, you know, but I just I'm built for this. I'm strong. You know, I can take it, and you know, I wanna help them. So, you know, people sometimes will just message me venting, and I'll just let them vent. I'm like, get it out. It's fine. You know, I'm not. I don't take it all. I don't take it personally anymore. I used to, but that was me and my ego. You know, but that's just anyway. So that was a long answer to.
Oh no, thank you. Question. No, that makes all the sense because you know, like I've seen other tarot readers that just disable the comments kind of thing, you know. And I think like what you said, not to say that they're not built for it, obviously, but I think that, like you said, recognizing.
I can understand them doing that though. At the same time, you know, everybody, you know, not to, I get it because I thought about it a couple times, but and I didn't mean to cut you off there. I apologize.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
But it's all about what you focus on. And you know, really, I was like, sometimes like I would see a negative comment, and it's just like it would bother me. But I had to get to a point where there were so many other positive comments. Why am I choosing to focus on one negative comment? So what? I don't know what that person's going through. They could be going through hell right now, and they're just up here just popping off. Like they could be going from reader to reader to reader, like fuck you, you know. It's like, so what? Like that's their, you know. I'm not. It's whatever. But I do get, you know, some readers. I even heard Russell Brand the other day. He was on a podcast, and he was saying to, I think it was Joe Rogan, and he asked him, you know, do you read the comments? And Russell was like, no, I'm too sensitive for that. I can't. Oh. He was like, I can't. He was like, I have someone who does all that, and she'll, you know, sometimes check in with me and ask, is this okay to respond to, and yada, yada, yada. But he said, other than that, he said, I can't. I'm too sensitive about, you know, my work. So, but he knows himself. So he's like, no, but
that's funny because he's a Gemini too. But like I get it. I used to be, I think more, I would take it more personal. And I think because no one would ever like really give me negative comments. And then, so when I guess you open yourself up to more people.
Yes.
And then you start getting people just putting random stuff. But then I realized that I was like, because people will put things that had made no sense. So then that taught me to not take it personal. Like you said, there's whatever's going on with them, they needed to vent, tell someone off. Cool. Like how you said, like I could take it, you know, I got broad enough shoulders, I could carry that, it's fine. Like if that's what they needed to do. So that makes all the sense. Also it's funny because everything you're talking about right now, I kind of heard more or less in like you had a video about manifesting 101 or was that the title? And you kind of mentioned things about that, like with love, right? Like all like kind of like what was one of the things you said that stuck out? Like how it's like when you're ready, you attract kind of what you know, not what you deserve. I think that's the wrong word, but I guess what you're ready for, or what's in balance with you, what you're resonating with.
Like it's a lot of different things, but I like I use the reference like a bank. You know what I mean? Like if like the money is, you know, at the bank because the bank is prepared to hold the money. It's, you know, there's security guards, there's a safe, there's, you know, everything is set up so that the money is, you know, it can be held there. So, you know, I think that a lot of times, and I don't know if this is where you were going with it, but it's like people, and I've done this too. I've been guilty of this too. I think everybody has, where you want something, but you haven't prepared for it. You haven't, you know, earned it, so to speak. So, you know, I think that, and a lot of times too, it's like people want to get, but they're not equipped to give that back to that person or whatever it is. You know, it's like, even if you go in for a job interview, you don't have enough experience, it's likely they're not going to hire you. Or if you're not, you know, qualified, they're not going to hire you. So it's interesting that people don't look at love the same way, or partnership. They don't take it as seriously as they do, for instance, like, career, or even when you go to buy a house, you have to jump through all these loopholes. It's not just given to you. So, if you really want people do want like a great partner. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter who you are, you want someone who's supportive. You want someone who you're attracted to. You want, all these things. But then people don't, it's like with love and romance, it's like this automatic, like you should automatically have that, or that's something that's, should be given. But it's like, that's probably one of the most important experiences in your life that you'll have in your life, outside of like, you having children, that connection with your children, who you choose to be your partner. I don't feel like we take it as seriously as we should. We don't prepare for it. We don't do the self-work. A lot of us want to go into situations and we're not healed. I'll hear people say, hey, I told this person, I don't trust guys. But yet she's dating a guy. And I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, man, you said that? And they're like, yeah. And I said, if I was a dude, I'd be like, well, maybe go, figure that out. And then we can come back, and vice versa. If a guy says to a chick, like, I don't trust women, well, maybe we don't need to be involved at this point, because trust is like the main thing in a relationship. But yeah, like, I just feel like, yeah, people don't take love or romance as seriously as they do everything else in society, or our reality that we built. And just to circle back too with, with doing love readings, I feel like love is creative energy. Like, that's the force that creates everything. When feminine, not feminine, but or negative, but feminine, masculine energy, that's creation. So I feel like it's very natural for like human beings to find love very important. I mean, we can have the most successful career. We can, you can look at even, I was all into the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, case. And you can see like this man was successful by all accounts. I mean, had everything. But just watching him, I could see how much like he yearned for love, like that partnership. He wanted it so bad. And that just goes to show you, like, no matter what, people really do, like, that's it. That's what you want. I mean, that's what keeps the population going, is people falling in love. And, so I think that's why love really resonates with people.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't know how it goes. What's the saying? Like, Leos govern the heart. Is that how the saying goes? Or
fine, because that's what I was gonna say. I think that's why my sun, my Mercury, so the way I think, the way I speak, and my Mars are in Leo. And so it's heart. Mars is how you fight, how you compete. And so, if you look at what I do for work, it's not like I'm competing or fighting or anything like that, but it is how I earn money. Like, Mars is an active energy. So, yeah, Leo is the heart. So that makes sense. That I would do something that involves, love. Yeah. So that's what I was going to say earlier too.
Yeah. And I mean, even Johnny Depp, like, me and Johnny Depp have the same birthday, right? June 9th. So that's.
Oh, no, early birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, I get, like, I see so many things, like, it's eerie. Like, when I watch him, that's why I know, like, I believe a lot of the things, like how he get, like, well, not that I ever really got a bad, oh yeah, I think people can misjudge you, right? But I just see a lot of similarities, right? Like, when I see him. So it's funny, but that's why, obviously I was kind of rooting for him, obviously, because I know that Well, I could say it actually, like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never hit a woman in my life, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've been hit a few times, surprisingly, but I think mostly they knew, like, to not cross that line with me. Like, don't cross that line with me.
Yeah.
Like, luckily, I don't think I've ever been pushed to that point, even though I think I should have been a few times, you know what I mean? Like, people that cross the line. But, so that's why I kind of, for me, not to say like me and him are that much alike that I could just say, oh, he's never hit a woman or anything like that, right? So I don't know him like that, but there were things that I felt for him. I felt his pain. And like how you said about the, you know, I mean, I learned that through watching tarot, that Gemini, like the card is the lovers, right? Which is funny to me. I really still don't understand that. Why? Like how, you know, like
duality, Gemini. I was telling, so who I'm with, he's a Gemini, my partner. And I told him one day, I was just like, you know what? Gemini is the feminine and the masculine in one person. So, and he was just like, yeah, I mean, it's duality, but I think that's what it is. It's I mean, really, like any Gemini that I've met, you all can, like, you all know how to be hard when it's time to be hard, but you can be sensitive, like when it's time to be sensitive. It's very interesting to watch, you know? But I think that's why you all, it's the Lover's card. It's the divine feminine and the divine masculine coming together, which is really, it's the Emperor and the Empress on that card, which some people don't know, but that's who it is.
That's it. So if it is already in one card, like why would you think, like how you said, like seeing Johnny Depp, you could see him and you feel like he's just looking for that love. So why search for something when
right? Why search for something when you already have it, and that's it? Like you already embody that. All of us do, no matter, I mean, astrology aside, all of us embody masculine and feminine energy. But it really is, I feel, this is just my thought process, when you really do come to the conclusion that you are whole on your own, and it's not a need for partnership, and that's the spiritual side. But the human side, I feel, how it manifests is, okay, like you realize that you're whole, there's not this need, but then, you know, now you can have the experience of partnership, and you know, hopefully it's this healthy partnership where you meet another whole person, where it's not this codependency, it's not this, you know, unhealthy attachment. You know, it's this thing where we want to be here, and you know, you're on your journey, you're having your experience, and I'm having my experience, and you know, but we're choosing. It's like you're choosing to be with this individual. It's not like this need, like I need this person or else I'm going to fall apart, you know? But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Why go searching if you're already this, you know, this individual? And you're right. I feel like it's very human, you know, to want partnership. I think but I feel like that's a gift. I do. I feel like that's a gift. And I think that people that really receive that gift, you know, they get to a point where it's like, I'm cool on my own, you know, I'm chilling. And then you meet somebody else that's like, well, I'm cool on my own too. You know, it's like, well, let's be cool together, you know?
That's funny. That makes sense though. And you know, there was something I remembered. I don't know if this was what I was going to say earlier, but going back to like when you do readings, for example, like, do you ever emphasize divine timing? Like, you know how people are impatient. Why, like how you said, why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't this happened? And it's funny. The reason I thought to bring that up was because, for example, like, I think I was trying to interview you since I think it was going to be episode 4, right? And here we are, you know, episode 11. And like, you know, I told you what happened. I think I shared it briefly in the podcast before this one, how as I was walking in here for us to do the interview, like I set foot, in the room, and all the power just went out, and it
Mhm.
didn't go out, half a block away, but just like in my little area. So I was thinking, to me, obviously, I jump right to the spiritual, like what happened, like why. But almost now I feel like it happened so we could talk about this right now, like divine
Yeah.
timing. Like it wasn't meant to happen then.
Mhm.
Had I been more, I guess, impatient, I could have been like, oh, I mean, I did. I'm not gonna like screw it. Like I kind of did think like, damn, like what the hell? Like, I wanted, I was already set up. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this interview, this interview, this interview, and I kind of had it structured like that already. And I'm a Gemini. I could adapt. It's easy to adapt, but still in my head, I was thinking like, I was kind of upset, with the universe. Like, why are you throwing a wrench in my little plans? You know what I mean? But yeah, no, but just to show like divine timing, how sometimes I guess even that, us wanting something and it doesn't matter what we want, like the universe does what it does.
Yeah.
And I guess you just have to accept that. So I mean, how hard is it to drive that point to people when they're getting readings, I guess?
I feel like, well, I think everything is true. I know that sounds weird, but I think divine timing is true. I think that also what you want to happen and your will can force something to happen. But I think divine timing is more like, it's like the right moment. You know what I mean? That it happened. Like this right here is the right moment. But I also feel like too, we create divine timing. We create that moment. So it's not like there's a phrase. What does it say? It's like it's a wise man who is like aware of the stars, but it's a fool who's ruled by them. So it's like you can be aware of all these things, but at the end of the day, you are still your own energy. Your energy for, and luckily, like we've been blessed, as humans, where we can like walk around and we can like move around with this energy, and we have this mind where we can create things, and I mean we're super powerful, like if we really think about it. So when I talk to people, especially like doing personal readings, I let them know like what you want, you can have it for sure. But, it's also, I talk about intention, what are your intentions? You can manifest things that you want, sure. But, if your intentions are wrong, you won't hold that. You can have your divine timing, but it won't last. You won't be able to hold on to that because the energy that you use to create that moment is just wrong. You know what I mean? So but yeah, I feel like divine timing, I more so talk to people in a way where I want them to feel empowered. Like I don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm a Cancer and he's this sign, and it won't work, or yada yada yada. I'm like, fuck all that. Like, don't even worry about it. Who cares? Like, sure, like that stuff is real to a degree because of the collective consciousness. Like we believe it, so it makes it real. That's another part of it. And I love astrology, so I get into all that because I want to, but at the end of the day, I emphasize like we are, in power here. We create what we want. So you can create that divine moment if you believe it, if you want it, if you can see it, and then ask for guidance from your higher self. Like, how do I get there? Show me the way. And so yeah, that's like, if I talk about divine timing at all with them, I do emphasize timing. Like, if they ask me, they'll say, hey, should I send them a message, or, should I do this? And I'll see in the cards, I'm like, it's a no on my end, but you do. But what I also say to them is, but don't let me stop you from doing what you feel is right. I'm just picking up on a whole bunch of stuff, but I don't want to, whatever you want the storyline to be, or however you want your story to go, do that. Don't let me stop you from doing that. You ask me a question, I'll give you the answer. And 9 times out of 10, you know, they'll be like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. Like, but again, it's kind of, you got to live though, you know? So yeah, I mean, as far as like divine timing, I think you create that moment, you know?
Yeah. So
that was a lot.
No. It's just because in between, like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask you this, I'm gonna ask you this, I'm gonna ask you this. And then we get to the end of it and I forget everything I was gonna ask you. So I should be taking notes. What do you call it? So do you really feel that signs? Because see, even though I you know, because I've listened to, I think you probably mentioned it before, I probably even heard you say it, but that about like signs really don't matter, but it does tend to be that a lot of times, right? Even though you may be like, okay, it doesn't matter, but then it's like, damn, it just doesn't work sometimes, like with certain signs. So I mean, obviously so you would believe that there's an exception to the rule, like no matter what, right? Like,
yeah, of course. But I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to, in terms of like romance, you know, 2 people who feel like they're like each other are worth it. You know, this person's worth it. You know, and just like you said, exceptions to the rule. I heard this guy said, he was like, you know how you know a woman loves you? When she makes exceptions to her rules. Like she'll break her rules for you, you know, or and that, not like, that may seem like just in a broad way, but I knew exactly what he meant by that. You know, it's like, there's different things, like, you know, for, you know, example, like, I never really liked to cook before, but now I like to cook. You know what I mean? So little things that women will do, like, you know, like, okay, she's in love with you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's just, I like to take away the astrology. Like, sure, the astrology and the tarot, like, will lead people to me. But when I get them, like, one-on-one and I talk to them, like, I kind of am like, okay, let's take away all of this, right? We can have a conversation. And 9 times out of 10, I just start talking to people and they're like, whoa, okay, you know, because I look up a lot of stuff in like relationships, and I want to educate myself, like, on men and women and our languages and how we, you know, talk to one another. And a lot of times it's a lot of miscommunication, and we just don't understand each other sometimes. But, you know, what was I about to say with that? When I talk to them, it's just like, you have to find it, really, signs and tarot aside, it's really 2 people that are like, I want to be here and I want this to work. I like it here. How do we do that? You know, once 2 people find each other and they come to that conclusion, that's really it. I don't care what sign they are. I don't care what the cards told you this would be. If you want to make it work. And I think the best thing to do too, when I tell people, is just like, make each day count. Like, make each day a good day. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the past. Just like right now, like, let's just make each moment a good moment. You know, it's like that John Gottman I've been telling people about, how he predicts like 90%, like it's like 93% of marriages. He's predicted which ones would last and which ones wouldn't. And it's called the golden ratio, where it's like for every 1 negative moment, a couple that will last has 5 positive moments. So that's the golden ratio that he came up with. And then there's things that he talks about where, you know, one big sign is like stonewalling. Like, if a partner like stonewalls, you know, the other partner, he's like, that's not a good sign.
What's stonewalling exactly?
Like, if your person, let's say you all get into an argument and then you go to try to talk to your person and they're like, no,
Oh.
don't want to do. It's like so many things happen in that moment. It's rejection. It's like, oh my God, like I'm just trying to, talk to you and, have a conversation about it. And it's like, communication is one of the biggest things in a relationship. So, a lot of times people will do it, but it's honestly like a lot of us weren't really taught how to communicate, in a healthy way. I know this is like straying away from like
no.
tarot and all that, but
all good.
This is actually like what I'm super passionate about too. I was just telling a client of mine yesterday, like what I'm going to start getting into, because I really want to see like, I want to see people win, so to speak. I want people to get the type of partnership they want, but I think it's so important, the first step to emphasize, like, you have to make sure that you're healed. You have to make sure that you're doing this for the right reasons and you're not, stepping into someone's experience unhealed. And let's say, you meet this person and you don't want to take away from their experience. If you all are supposed to be or meant to be together, quote unquote, then really when you two come together, you should add, like you should be adding to each other's experience. Not, again, it's going back to that codependency. It's not, to me, that's just, you don't want to deplete your person. You want to add to their experience in the best way possible, So I don't know. I'm very like passionate about that right now.
No, and thank you for sharing all that. Yeah, no, that was
a lot.
Yeah, no, yeah. But like I said, every time you're talking, I'm thinking of all these things I want to ask you, and then by the end of it, like it just like I guess I want to listen, so I forget about the questions, because if not, then I gotta have the question in there. But I'm listening, so then it just flies out. Oh, okay, I think I know. I was gonna talk about like also, see, like my problem, obviously, I'm a Gemini, so communications are a thing. I really don't feel I have a problem communicating, right? Maybe it might be, I think if anything, if there's anything that probably rubs people the wrong way is being too honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's my thing. Like I think, well, not I think, but like my moon is in Sagittarius, right? And I remember reading once, like Sagittarius is like truth above anything, like
right.
And especially that, like your moon in Sagittarius. So I was like, oh shit, like that's been it then, because
your life.
Yeah, because I'll just be blunt. And sometimes people take it good, but sometimes they don't. It's like, you just never know, right? Like you just never know where it's gonna land. But I've had that problem where, like in relationships, also like not stonewalling, but where people just don't communicate. And maybe it's my fault for getting impatient, because but it's like that, just don't communicate. Like they don't know how to communicate. They'll clam up. And that felt as toxic to me as how you would say stonewalling. Like,
yeah,
no communication, like spit it out. Like, what is it? Like, I can't wait 5, 6 days, 2 weeks and that's how it would be. And then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, this. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, that was like from 2 weeks ago. Like, and eventually you let it go, but that's been a huge problem. So I don't really know why I'm bringing that up. I guess just, to add to that, like about the stonewalling, like I think but I mean, it's all tied in communication. I think is like one of the most important things, like you said. So
I think I was just thinking about this, like when you really care about someone, you don't want them to hurt. And for me, when people go into situations, and I've done it too, where it's like, well, I feel like I need to make this person hurt. Like I'm hurting, to, for whatever reason, I want to teach them, I don't want them to play with me like that again or anything like that. I feel like you're not ready for a healthy commitment then, because, or maybe you just haven't met the right person, you know, that you connect with that on that level. But, you know, if you really, it's just like even with your children, you know, if you have kids, I would never, you know, not talk to my kids in order as a method of, you know, hurting them. Why? Because it would hurt me. So, you know, you wouldn't want to hurt your partner. I think when you really love someone, when you do something and it hurts them, it hurts you too, you know? So, I don't know, like people, and again, but that's dropping the ego. That's releasing the ego and coming from a very, you know, connected space where you realize, like, you know, outside of everything else, like, let's make this right, you know, no matter what. I don't care, I was wrong, you were wrong, whatever. At the end of the day, though, we don't want to sit in this place of hurt, because that, I mean, it's just, that can go back and forth, like that will keep going on. And you know, I've seen it with people's relationships. It started with one argument, and you know, it's like, well, I'm not talking to them. Oh, they came back, they apologized, so we're okay. Then what do? They turn around and they're like, well, fuck you. You know, remember when you talked to me? Well, fuck you. And then it's just like there's that karmic cycle. It just starts, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. So I think when you really care about someone, and that's like outside of romance, just in general, you don't want them to feel pain. You know what I mean? Because you feel pain. That's what I think love is. And it's just like with your children. I ask people, like, you know, would you, you know, however you're dealing with that person, would you deal with your children like that? You know, would you not? And maybe you do have some fucked up people that are like, yeah, I would. And then it's like, okay, well, you know, then I guess it is what it is. But anyway, so I was just thinking about that when you said it.
No, but you just opened up a whole, because, and not, you know, like, I love my dad and everything, but we had that kind of relationship. Funny, oddly enough, he's a Leo, right? And all through high school, we would talk maybe 3 months out of the year. Like, he would give me the silent treatment. Everything was like, I would tell my mom, like, tell your husband this, and he would tell my mom, tell your son this. So yeah, exactly. So all through high school, like 3 months out of the year, we would talk. Like, we would always get into something. And you know, not to turn this into like a therapy session or nothing like that, but yeah, but I would always have to be the bigger person. Find something, like, just like, oh, you know, even I guess if the birthday came up, like, oh, happy birthday. So I had to be the one to, but for a kid, that doesn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? But that's why it's funny that you said, like, how some people would be like, yeah, I'll do that to my kid, which, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me, but we had that. I'm sure that affected me in some way, but I think the opposite, maybe the opposite. Maybe I saw that's not how you're supposed to be.
I definitely understand you on that, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm not sure because I'm a Leo rising, right? Like, I'm a Leo rising. So I don't know if because he's a Leo, I'm a Leo. Like, if the Leo in us, like, because Leos have that too, right? Like,
that's my youngest. My youngest is a Leo rising, and I'm a Leo. So we definitely, you know, will go fucking toe to toe sometimes. He's only 2, okay?
Oh wow.
But he's off the hook sometimes. So, you know, that Leo rising, he'll just, and of course he's young, so he's, you know, he's in a different space than you. When you're young, you're just like, whatever, I'm popping off, I want to pop off, and let's just, you know. But yeah, so that's interesting you say that. Yeah. So I could definitely see you all, you know, going toe to toe.
Yeah.
Leo rising apparently is the real Leo. That's the
oh
real
really Leo. Oh wow. So then that means that like, I would have more Leo traits than Gemini traits then, or?
Well, Gemini is how you know, see yourself. That's your sun sign. Your moon is how you filter your emotions. So you filter it with Sagittarius. So, you know, a lot of philosophy and a lot of, you know, just like you said, when you were angry about the power going out, we were supposed to do the podcast. You're like, why did this happen? Like, you know, understand why this happened. Probably because you don't want it to happen again. You know what I mean? And then Leo rising, that's how the world sees you. And it's also how you can perceive the world, you know. So it's like the mask, apparently, you know, it's the mask you wear. But Leo rising is actually like the star. Like any Leo, right? Like that makes sense why you have a podcast, because it's like you all were born to shine. You really were. So yeah, so they say like, now again though, it also depends. Like you have me, who I view myself as a Leo, but my Mercury is also a Leo. So my thought process is very much in that, you know, that sign, and then my Mars. So those are important placements too. So that factors in. But yeah, they say that you're the rising, just like I'm a Scorpio rising, and they say like Scorpio rising is the real Scorpio. Because people, when they see us, they, you know, tend to, a Scorpio rising would, you know, look very mysterious and, you know, very seductive and, you know, all these things. And you're like, you're like, why am I feeling gravitated towards this person? You know what I mean? Like, and then also too, probably my lower vibrational, I definitely had like paranoia about the world. Like, you know, like, I don't know, this person's out to get me. You know what I mean? Wow. Like, you know, I very, and I've always been a hermit, always. Like, even when I would go out, like my friends would force me to go out, I'd be in the corner, like, I'm just not comfortable here. You know, I'm not in my cave, or, you know, where I want to be at. So yeah, the rising is definitely interesting. It really is.
So all those things that you just stated is all because of your rising, like all.
Like as far as like
feeling like wanting to be in your cave, or
I think that it attributes to it for sure. For sure. I think there's so much like that, you know, creates who you are. It's our chart, it's, you know, our parents, their chart, you know what I mean? Like it's
wow.
So yeah, it's I don't know, but again, like just like it says, like to circle back, it's a wise person to know the stars, like to be aware of everything, but it's a fool to let that rule over you and say, oh, well, you know, I'm a Scorpio rising, so the world's out to get me. So fuck, you know what I mean? Like, no, man, it's not. If I live in fear like that, then guess what? My fears will keep showing up. It'll just keep, you know, if what I tell people is look at your placements and see how they empower you. Like, don't look at I mean, you can be aware of your what potentially like can be your downfall. I think that's important, you know, to see like when sometimes there's an app called Time Passages. It's a really good app, and they will break down like your placements, and they're like, be aware of, you know, that you can do this, and you have potential to you know, hurt people in this way. Definitely Scorpio rising, that stinger can come out. And, you know, if and I'm still working on that. Like I'm work in progress, and I like to be a work in progress. Like I've learned like the journey is fun, and growing is fun, and learning different sides of you and what can be worked on, you know, like that's the fun part about it. So yeah, so but yeah, like I like I look at my Jupiter in Aquarius, and I love my Jupiter in Aquarius because that makes me good at what I do. You know, how I expand the most is through people. Aquarius is the humanitarian, and it just makes sense that, you know, and Aquarius is what? The star in the zodiac, you know, so yeah, like I like to look at, when I found that out, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, this channel is going to do good. And it made me feel good, you know, because I was aware of it, and I was right. I mean, there's certain things too in your chart, like that, some things, just like I said with you, with your podcast, you're a Leo rising. So you definitely were born to, you know, shine in your own right, you know?
Yeah. And I wish I knew right now what my Jupiter was, but I can't remember. So I know I've seen it and all that stuff, but you know, I also like I know we talked about like 100 other things, and you know, I wanted to ask you things about the tarot, but I mean, it was a lot. I feel like it was way more interesting anyways. But just real quick, because I don't want to keep you forever, because I don't know, you know, what other things you have planned. But also I wanted to ask you, so when you do read tarot, because I had an experience, right? Like, I guess kind of how you said, like, oh, I see all these people doing it. I could do it too, right? Well, okay, so I might as well tell the story. Like, you know, for me, I didn't know anything about tarot, right? You know, I used to pronounce it like tarot or whatever. Like, I didn't know what tarot was. I didn't see it. I really had no interest in it. You know, I probably had some of the stigma from, you know, like the religious stuff. Like, that was more, you know, the beginning of my life. Like, obviously there's the stigma, like, oh, it's probably evil or this and that, you know, like mediums and tarot readers, all that stuff, right? So that's why I probably never gravitated towards it. But, you know, in 2019, I had a dream about, and, you know, it was like, it led me to you, right? Which is crazy. Like, I seen a card, I had a dream, I seen a card, it was pink and all this stuff. And, you know, I messaged you, and I didn't even tell you like the whole dream. I think there was like a pineapple to all this stuff, but it was like, I didn't even, but, and it was funny because like in the message I messaged you, it just says like, I said, oh, and then it says yes, which was funny. Like, I thought, like, I don't know if that was like a premonition, like 3 years later. And then when I asked you to do the interview, you said yes. So I don't know if that's what that was about, but it led me to you. And then your reading was so dead on. And, you know, not to say like you need my, what is it? You need my confirmation or nothing like that. But me, when they show,
I appreciate confirmation, but go ahead.
No, well, just, I mean, like, whenever they show me something in the spirit world, that's when I feel, for me, that I trust it. Like, that's when I'm like, okay, this is real, right? Because, yeah, like that. So when I saw you, because if not, I probably would have still, you know, I didn't know nothing about tarot readers and this and that. Like, so I would have been like, yeah, I'm not going to look at that or something. So when it led me to you, like, and I heard the message and I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then I think I started listening to more readings and stuff. But see, at the time, like, you know, my brother had just passed away, right? It was, you know, he passed away in February of 2019, right? And then I had that dream, I guess, that led me to you maybe around maybe the end of June or the beginning of July. Because when I messaged you, I think it had been a few weeks since I had the dream, right? And I had already been watching some of your readings, and then that's when I messaged you. And then it led me down, like, then I started seeing all these other readings. And then it would, like, sometimes they literally say, like, oh, we're reading, and it's like for someone that had this birthday or someone from that passed away is trying to, and it'd be like dead on, you know, like the message. So I think at that time, I was actually more open, like, not to sidetrack too much, but like how you said about love, right? Like, I learned then, like, love is like the most powerful thing ever, because when my brother passed away, because, you know, I've talked about it already, but, you know, with like a suicide, right? Like, he took his own life and all that. So it really messed me up, and there was no way in hell that they weren't going to they took me to him, right? It was like whatever people would call angels or whatever. They took me to him. Like, there was nothing that was going to keep me from going to where he was. And it was because of love, right? Like, no doubt, like 100%. Like, the world didn't, no walls, no this, whatever, man-made construct or whatever we're living in was not going to keep me confined to this body, to this nothing. It was like the veils, walls, everything disappeared for me. So during that time, I was traveling through whatever that, the universe, whatever, spirit world, everything, astral plane. I was just, like, doors, walls didn't exist for me. So, you know, I agree 100%. But then I kind of shut down, and the tarot readers became kind of my, I guess, portal, because I kind of just was shutting down. And so then I saw, so it was super helpful. So that's why, like, I would never listen to the stigmas now, you know, about tarot readers and all that stuff, because it helped me. So I definitely see that as a tool 100%. And then, and then I wanted to do it, but it was crazy. Like, I heard a tarot reader talk about when you pick a tarot deck, like, you go and then it kind of speaks to you, right? And so I went, but it wasn't I went to a shop, and then it wasn't a traditional deck. It was like, I think it said like, it had like, I don't know, I was drawn to it. It had more like tribal kind of imagery, but it said it was like orishas or something. It had like to do with like more, like that Caribbean, like African, like, kind of tribal stuff. And when I grabbed the deck, like my head lit up like a Christmas tree. It was like something wanted to come through, like right then. But it scared me. It scared me. I even took the deck back. I never opened it, took it back. But it was because I heard someone give a review. I looked it up. I was like, okay, let me see what's up with these cards. And they said it was almost like when they use the cards, it's like they're serving the cards, or they're serving those spirits to bring the message. And I never heard any readers say it like that. So I was like, I'm not going to let something like use me, like kind of control me. Yeah. That was kind of scary for me. So I took them back, and then that ended my tarot reading career at that moment, right? So with you, all that to say, so with you, like, when you read cards, like, how do you feel? Because I hear you sometimes say, oh, I see this. So do you actually see, like, are you picturing everything as you're reading it? Like, do you get images? Do you hear, like, are they telling you? Like, how exactly? I kind of want to know the whole process, if you don't mind.
I don't really get images. And I dream a lot too, by the way. Oh. I mostly get images in dreams. But when I'm reading, I more so hear like phrases, I say they, but it's really, I feel like it's us. It's just, but yeah, I do say they, but they will show me, or like, if I say I'm seeing, maybe I do, like, see, when I read the cards, I'm in like a different type of zone. Like, I don't even, like, right now I'm trying to think of like what happens. So maybe I kind of zone out. I also pick up a lot. So, because I know, like, I'm reading for thousands of people at one time. And so regardless of whoever, believes whatever, it's all energy. So I'm like picking up this energy from them. I'm picking up energy from everywhere. And so I don't know, I'll just hear things like, and before I go off on a tangent right there, what I think, I don't know where I get it from. I don't, like, I'm one of those people, but I'm comfortable enough to say that. Like, I don't really know where it's coming from. I think it's just, I don't know, it's a number of things. I mean, I still think that it's weird that I can sit down and someone asks me about somebody who I don't even know, and all I do is say their name. Sometimes I don't even know their name. I don't know who this person is, but somehow I can tap into that person and see what they're doing. And that's weird to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. To know who this person is. And it took a while for me to be confident in that, because in the beginning, I'm like, what if I'm just like pulling this out of my ass? Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But when you said confirmation, and I get, like you mentioned, in a different way, but I appreciate confirmation. Like, people will do blind readings where they won't tell me anything, and I'll just read the cards. They're like, I just want a reading. That's it. Thank you. And I'll just say, okay, let me see what messages come through. And then they'll send me, they'll give me feedback, and they're like, I'm blown away right now. Like, you just read everything. You told me about this person, and you're right. And how that happens, honestly, it's magic. I feel like it's magic. Like, it's just, just like you said, the cards are a tool. I believe in the cards. I also feel like it's our belief. Like, what we believe, we make it real. So I believe that the cards can tell me things. And there's been so much evidence to show me that, so now when I'm hearing something, or, like I say, I'm being told, I don't know if it's necessary. Maybe I do get images, but I can't really say right now, like, if I do get images, but I mostly hear things. And, I just now have gotten to the place where I started feeling, maybe, I don't know if you've watched a couple recent readings, but I just started saying things that I hear. And this is what I was going to say earlier. I think it was the Gemini reading. I was like, all right, I said, I'm just going to say this, guys. And this is going to sound crazy, but I need to just probably, because the more I just kind of like spit it out, what is in my head, people are like, oh my God, this is for me, you know, because of XYZ. So I kept hearing 2 Chainz, hair weave killer. And I don't know, hearing that, I'm like, what's going on? And multiple people in the Gemini comments were like, I was literally in the shower washing my weave while you said that. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm gonna mess up my weave or something. And this one girl was like, I was literally like straightening out my hair, my weave, because my weave got fucked up the night before. But they're just and this one girl was like, he was a hair weave killer or something like that. I was just like, oh my God. But it's just saying little things like that. Like, it'll confirm for me, and it'll confirm for the viewer, or, you know, whoever, like, damn, like, she's really tapped in, like, you know. But, and don't get it twisted, I feel like anyone can read cards. Anyone can. Like, we all have gifts, you know, just like I think all of us have capabilities to do bad shit. We also have capabilities to do good shit. But I also feel too that intuition and reading is a muscle, and you flex that muscle every time you do the work, you know. So it's not like, you know, so it's also, you're able to, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Like, you just start hearing things, and then you see the cards, you remember, oh, remember when I pulled that card, that meant that time. Because I'll think back to certain times where I pulled a card, and because I don't do it anymore because I was told not to do it anymore, but I used to pull cards on myself. And but I remember when I remember one day, and I never really pulled cards on myself like that, but it was this one day where a lot of bad shit happened. And for some reason, I told myself to pull cards on myself. And I asked what was about to happen, what was the energy of the day, and it was the Tower. And I remember I asked, how would I feel about this? And it was the 5 of Cups. It wasn't good. And that day was probably one of the most fucked up days ever in my life. And, you know, so it was a good and bad, it was a gift and a curse, because as everything was going down, I realized, though, I was like, you called it. You knew what was about to happen. You saw it. So it was like, maybe the universe was like, you know, yeah, a lot of shit is about to happen, but we're going to bless you with knowing, like, you got a real gift here. And, you know, you can see things. Like, you need to trust yourself. That's a big thing too with reading. Like, if anybody watches this and wants to read, you have to trust yourself. You need to trust your intuition. And that's one thing that people will try to do, is make you question yourself. I have had people, and those are absolutely, you know, it's also about, for me, it's very much about respect. If you come at me super disrespectful, I probably will never talk to you again. And it's not me being an asshole. It's just because I genuinely love myself, and I don't want to, you know, not honor myself by allowing someone to try to come in and tear down something I've worked so hard for, you know. But you know, people will try to come in and say, you know, hey, you were wrong, and this, that, and the third. I had one person, she was very disrespectful. She watches it, she'll probably know who she is, but she was very disrespectful. And you know, after she said all this stuff, she still tried to message me for a reading, and I was like, nah. And so I don't know, like, people will try to get you to question yourself, but that comes with the territory, because the universe is going to test you, or your higher self is going to test you to see where you're at. And you know, yeah, that definitely comes with the territory. So I don't know, like, I hear things, and I probably do see things, but I can't say for sure, like, if I do see things during the reading. But Yeah, that's just, I don't know. Like, I guess that's just how it works for me. The more I did it, the better I got at it. And I just, the biggest thing is trusting yourself, you know, and that's really it.
And when you said they told you not to pull cards for yourself, who's they?
Well, my higher self, I would say.
No, I say
self.
the same thing. Like I always say, oh, they told me this, they told me that. So I got, yeah, you don't have to, you know, I've said it before, but there's really nothing that anyone could say that will surprise me. Like I've experienced like just about everything you could imagine, right? So I don't know why, like, and not everything like in a huge way, but at least a little of everything, right? So there's nothing. I think that's the reason I wanted to have the podcast too and get all kinds of different people, because I've just experienced like a little of everything, right? So, and before I forget, I wanted to ask you, what is the Five of Cups exactly?
Five of Cups is, well, it's literally Saturn in Scorpio. And in the traditional like Rider-Waite tarot deck, it's the gentleman standing there, and he like has his head down, and he has like this black robe, like he's in mourning. And there's three cups that are spilled over. So he's crying about, you know, something that, you know, he lost. But behind him is two cups. And what it symbolizes too, it's like somebody, kind of like somebody crying over spilled milk, or someone who can't detach themselves from something that's already gone. It's like, dude, the cups have spilled. You're not going to get that liquid back in there. It's done, right? But it's the universe saying, like, turn around. You still have something over here. You still have two cups. You need to appreciate what you have left, you know, over here. And it's, you know, so yeah, like with Saturn, Scorpio is the, you know, planet of death and rebirth, like the phoenix, you know, and with Saturn being present, it's a lesson, you know, it's it's a lesson that, hey, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, you know, there's gonna be sadness, but also the bigger lesson is, you know, there will always be something else there, like always. But you know, with the Five of, what I felt when I saw that I would feel the Five of Cups, it's like I would feel a sense of loss. And I did that day. I lost something like really important to me. So yeah, it was definitely a life-changing moment. You know, I tell people all the time, like, you get scared of tower moments, and they are scary. But tower moments are good though, because it takes away a situation where they're like, listen, you asked to be in alignment, you asked to go on this path, and we have to remove that. I'm sorry, you don't want to let it go. We get it, but you can't take that with you right now. You know what I mean? And so that's literally when your higher self will come and just snatch something away from you, you know, because you won't let it go. Yeah.
So is that more the Tower, or the Five of Cups could represent that as well, or?
It's both, I feel. I feel like, yeah, but Five of Cups is more of the mourning process. And, you know, because it's, you know, mourning that cycle is over. It's like it's over, it's done. And it's a loss. It's a lot in that card. You know, it's a missed opportunity, or like shoulda, coulda, woulda. I could have done this to hold that together. I should have done this, you know. But the universe is like, just take the lesson, man. Just take the lesson. That's why it's Saturn. And, you know, next time you see those two cups, you'll handle it better than what you did with those three cups right there. You know, you'll make sure that you put it on something strong enough to where it wouldn't fall over. You know, you would cherish it, take care of it, you know? So, I feel like there's always that's a part of the Five of Cups. So that was a good question too, but there's always like opportunity in every negative situation. There is always something positive that can come out of it. It's your perception. That's also what the Five of Cups is about too. It's perception. He's up here focused on the loss, when if he changed his perspective and turned around, he could focus on what he has left and what he needs to, you know, what can I do with that, you know?
That makes sense. No, thank you. And also, so you said Saturn. So what exactly is Saturn usually represent then?
Saturn is like the teacher.
Oh.
And so when like Saturn, when it goes retrograde, and it's also like it represents cycles. Like when I mentioned my Saturn return, it's like Saturn return is specifically 29, but it can start when you're like 27, 28, because Saturn is it's such a long energy. Like it's one of those planets where and I don't want to get, it moves. Yeah. Like it moves. It takes long for Saturn to move, I think, from different zodiac signs, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why that would make sense, right? Like why it takes 29 years to circle back to the day that you were born, when Saturn is in your whatever house, whatever sign it was in. So I forget where my Saturn is in. I think my Saturn is it's in something tough. I think it's like Scorpio or something. Like my Saturn's in like some type of fucked up area. So that I would have I'm pretty sure that's where my Saturn is. Oh well, fuck it. I was about to look at it really quickly. Hold on.
Oh yeah. By all means.
Planets. Yep, Saturn and Scorpio. So that's why, like, when Jesus Christ, my next Saturn return. I just need to make the right choices, right? Up until then, because what is that? 29. So what will I be, like 60? My next Saturn return. Anyway, I better just enjoy life right now. But yeah, so
why Saturn, it's that heavy? It's that heavy when Saturn return hits?
Yeah, it can be a number of things. People tend to have children, get married, get divorced. You can go to prison. You can, like, it will be something that happens where it dictates like the next cycle of your life. So for me, I got out of a long relationship that I was in at that time, and that started a whole fucking, it was like, you know, now think about it, I was like around 29, 30 when all that started, and I'll be 37 this year, and I'm literally just feeling like my life is finally like settling down.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And you know, finally, like, so, you know, it's a process. Like, you know, if I could go back and tell myself, like, listen, man, you'll be good, you know what I mean? But it's gonna be rocky up until, because you're gonna make some choices. That's another thing. I feel like life is about choices. Okay, so like the choices we make, then that's Saturn, right? Saturn's like, okay, remember when you made that choice? Well, here's the consequence for what you did. Either it'll be good or bad. We'll see. But to circle back with Saturn, like when Saturn goes retrograde, I heard another astrologer refer to it like the teacher. So, or like even the mother, right? When the teacher or the mother leaves the house. Okay, so when Saturn goes retrograde, you kind of have like wiggle room to do things that you want to do, but you can do it non-traditionally, because Saturn represents Capricorn, and Capricorn is very traditional. It's the mother, or no, it's the father of the zodiac. Okay. So it's very, it gives me like emperor energy. Like, this is the way it is. This is how we're going to do things. Or even King of Swords, you know, because King of Swords is Aquarius, but Aquarius is Saturn as well. It's more King of Swords. It's like you rule with an iron fist. That's Saturn. Okay. There's no stepping out of bounds. When Saturn goes retrograde, you can kind of go out of bounds a little bit and you can get shit done, right? But you also want to make sure too, what happens is, it's like when a teacher leaves the room and you all are taking a test, right? And you know, it's you have, or like you get extra time or something like that. There's something where you get a little wiggle room during the retrograde. But what happens is, no matter what, they gave you extra time to get done what you needed to get done, right? Without them monitoring you, without Saturn looking over your shoulder, like, are you doing what you're supposed to do? So how he compared it is, when Saturn goes direct, when the teacher comes back in the classroom or mom comes home, if the house looks fucked up, if things are crazy looking, what's going to happen? She's going to be like, oh, so this is what was happening when I was gone, you know? So you don't, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Hold on. My bad, my phone battery. But yeah, like it's like when the teacher or the parent comes home, and could they trust you on your own? Did you do what you were supposed to do without, you know, Big Daddy Saturn looking over your shoulder? Like, are you falling in line? So it's like, yeah, it's the planet of responsibilities. And, you know, if you didn't take care of this, you're going to have to answer to this. So, you know, I think that it's just, I need to, like, you just reminded me, like, I just need to make sure I have everything in order by the time my next Saturn return comes, so I don't get fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On my end, I can't control everything else that happens around me, but odds are something will happen that will be life-changing, but it's all good.
And now that you brought that up about the retrograde, actually, I think when we were supposed to do the last interview, I don't know if Mercury Retrograde had just started.
Probably something.
Yeah, because are we still in it, or it just ended, or?
But we're in the shadow phase, quote unquote.
Yeah, so you know, oddly enough, like it has to do with like electrical things, right? Like phones and yeah. So I thought maybe that's what it was as well. So the coincidence of that happening, or you know, not coincidence, but you know, it's funny because and I wanted to ask you about the dream stuff too, but like, see, even before, see, that's another reason. Once I started watching tarot, and and also, yeah, I did want to confirm that so many of your readings were dead on. So I don't know if that's what you thought I was going to say about the confirmation. Why? Yeah, but yeah, they were dead on. That's why, I mean, you know, because of you, I started watching tarot. See, and I guess that's one of the things, like, I guess it does get addicting, and then you can't let it get to that point, right? Like, to be so, like,
codependent.
Yeah, where you just want, but you know, at that time I felt like I needed it, but then after, it was like they were weaning me off of it. Like, okay, there, like I would get the energy. It just didn't feel right anymore. But for a long time, it did. It was like just watching, and the messages were always dead on. But finally, after, it just didn't feel, because I guess they wanted me to reconnect, because you know, that's what I was gonna tell you. Like the dreams, like I realized even like maybe even a year before I saw my first tarot reading, I remember, you know, I was already dreaming in tarot, which was weird. I remember there being one where there were these towers, and I shook up. But every time I've dreamed of towers, I'm the one that brought them down. Like in that dream, I was bringing down these towers, and I was like, I didn't understand the dream, right? Like it took like a year to finally make sense. But all these things did happen, right? My whole life changed. The last one I had maybe months ago, I had a dream of a tower, but I brought it down on somebody else. So I don't know what that meant. Like, I guess maybe I did something, but I looked back at them and I had this mischievous look in the dream. Like, I guess, I could see myself, and they were kind of looking at me like, don't do it. And I look at them, you know?
Yeah.
But the funny thing was the tower was like stacked up, kind of like it was barely held together. Like, so it was like, it was all these weird things, like shapes that were holding it up. So it looked like a flimsy structure anyway. So I was like,
it's like a house of cards. It's easy to knock down.
Yeah, exactly. So I look back at this person and I just like, I guess, dropped the tower. But I don't know, you know, I don't talk to this person. I haven't talked to this person in a long time, so I don't know if that's what it meant. Like something, right? Like it was just weird. But I don't know if you've ever seen, there's this documentary, I think it's called The Fool's Journey.
Okay.
Have you seen it or no? But it shows how like the tarot is there like in all your life, like your whole life. And I guess it starts off with like the tarot, and then it goes, I mean, the fool taking a journey, and then it goes into like all the things that happen, and then the tower, then eventually I think it gets to the wish fulfillment, like at the end, all this thing. But it makes all the sense if you ever want to watch it. It's called, I think, A Fool's Journey, and like an old documentary. But I started noticing that in my life, how tarot's always been there. So that's another reason why I would never listen to like the stigma of it, because I was like, wow, like I was already dreaming in tarot. I see how it went in my life, like all these events that happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting how that happened. And I mean, I just added that, but I wanted to ask you about, like, when you said you dream things, how is it? Like, you have like premonitions, or you say, like, what exactly kind of things do you dream?
What's a number of things. I have premonitions. Probably gonna, well, who knows who's gonna watch this, but
if you don't have to say it, but for me, like, yeah, feel free.
Probably do a whole other podcast on dreams, but like I told my partner, I was like, what I noticed is that people can't hide from me in my dreams. Like, I can see, like, when people are thinking about me, they show up in my dreams, but I also can literally see where people are at. I can see what they were doing. I'll wake up the next day and I'm like, this person was probably at an airport. I think it's just all energy, and I'm just very sensitive to it all. But yeah, I also know what's about to happen. Sometimes they'll give me a premonition. Last night I had a super weird dream, and there were a couple people there that I was like, okay, they probably were thinking about, me and, things like that. But the dream was like, and I'll just say it real quick. It was funny because I picked up my, I have a bearded dragon over there, and the whole
a real
day,
one, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's out over there. I'm not going to bother her though, because I think she's in heat.
Oh, wow.
And I picked her up. She was like she like hissed at me, and she never had done that before last night. And I was like, what's your problem? I was all, I'm taking it personal. And so it was interesting though, because I saw she was getting bigger, and I'm like, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you were pregnant, Of course she's not. There's not a male in there with her. But so I picked her up and I let her hang out, a little bit in the living room last night. And last night, when something's up with her too, like I'm not trying to sound like a weirdo, but she's like, I don't know. But whenever I pick her up, I'll dream about her. Like so she was in my dream last night, but she was a snake. But I knew she was an orange snake, and she had white stripes with emerald outlines, like triangular stripes. Okay. And then there was this gecko that crawled up on her, and I could tell, like, he like looked very seductive the way he was looking at her, and I was about to take him off and like you're telepathic in dreams.
Yeah.
And he's no, like, I'm about to do my thing with her, you know what I mean? And so then all of a sudden I knew like they were about to mate. And he went underneath her belly and crawled inside of her, like there was an opening. And then I saw him pop his head out. All of a sudden his head turned into like a snake head, but it was like a weird shape, and his eyes started glowing orange, which is interesting. I have orange nails on. And his eyes started glowing with emerald stones, which is also interesting. I just noticed that. But they started glowing, and then as he came out of her, which is weird that I'm using came, not to be nasty, but then all of a sudden, these big like droplets of sperm fell out of her, like but it looked like they were glowing at the top. Like it was weird. It was like, and they all came together and they formed like this ball, and it started glowing, like pulsating.
Wow.
And I looked at it in the dream, and I was like, I got to get rid of those. I don't want all these snakes all around here. These baby snakes. I don't know what to do with those, But yeah, that was my dream last night. But I woke up and I was like, immediately, I was like, she's in heat. That's why she's so pissed off. Like she wants to get laid, basically, so, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird, like how, but it's like, why did I dream about all that? It's very interesting. But I looked it up. I'll also look up my dreams, like to see different meanings, but, I don't know, snakes do represent death and rebirth. And for me to see sperm, like that's, creation, it's creative energy. So And so it was something like I was like looking at it, and the fact that it looked almost like a diamond sitting on top of the sperm. Not to sound gross, but it didn't look gross. It looked just like they all came together and then they formed this thing. It was weird.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, thank you. No, but like, well, like you said, you haven't figured out what that meant yet.
I think that I'll know soon enough, but there's, I even had a dream the other day that I was pregnant, like, and I could see I had the belly and everything. And I was just like, so something's going on. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that, it's just like something is happening, like something is being created right now. And, usually then there's going to be the birth. I don't know what it's going to be, but, who knows?
No, and you just reminded me, I think when I started watching you, you were pregnant as well. So I think it made me trust, obviously, like, I think that's why I've been surprised, like when I'll run into people that don't believe in spiritual stuff or this and that, especially women that have given birth. And I'm like, because for me, it's like you were a portal to bring life into, how could you not? What was that? I'm sorry.
I think it's just programming.
Yeah, definitely. But even just that, the act of bringing life into this world, like how do you know what I mean? But so I obviously, like, I think when I saw you were praying, I was like, oh yeah, she must, even right now, be even more, like, do you feel that way when you're pregnant? Are you even more connected than usual?
Probably. I mean, I could definitely see that being the case, because it literally is like when you're pregnant, it's the portal, between death and life is like right there, so yeah, I could definitely see that, especially with me being pregnant with a Scorpio, which was interesting. And he was born on 11/11 on top of that.
Wow.
I was mind blown.
Wow.
But it was just like confirmation for me, like, this little guy is supposed to be here, don't even worry about it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely had crazy dreams when I was pregnant with him, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I did. So yeah, probably. But I mean, I think my intuition, whether I'm pregnant or not, it's just that muscle, and I'm just, me just reading and me trusting my intuition, like, and the universe will give me confirmation. Like, this one person showed up in my dream, and lo and behold, they messaged me like the next day. It's like, yeah, you're right. You pick up on a whole lot of stuff, so, but yeah, I don't know.
No. So, no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't hear it.
I guess I was more intuitive, maybe.
So real quick, why do you think you have it? Like, was it through your family or what? Like, why do you feel that you're so connected?
Because I want to be, for sure. Like, I feel like I came into this experience, just wanting that. I don't know if it's from, like, my mom, she definitely dreams. And she definitely has these moments, like, she'll share with me like premonitions that she's had and things like that. I look at it too, like, my mom, my grandmother, great grandmother, all these women, they had to have been like spiritual to a degree, but maybe they just couldn't express it. Probably on both sides, my mom and my dad's side. And I feel like, I feel like I'm them, because again, we're just recreations of our parents, and things like that in this human form. But I feel like I came into this time period, like right now, where this is the time where I can express this. I live in a country where I can talk, speak freely, thank God, to a degree, right? Of course. And there's this platform, YouTube, where I can, kind of just speak freely on a mass level. I feel like one part of it is like all these women that, I've you know, I'm a descendant of, they wanted to do something like this, but then I was created, I came into this form, and it's like, yeah, now I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel, like, you know, I've been waiting for this. And so, but yeah, that's a part of it, you know, but I think that definitely, like, I came into this experience, like, I wanted to do this, you know?
Yeah, definitely. No, I can attest. Like, I felt that the same way. Like, if it's almost, I don't know if it's a karma, but almost like for all the people, like, you know, especially like with Native people up to, what was it, the 70s, the Native, like, people here from like the United States, they couldn't even practice their own, you know, beliefs. Like, they would put them in nut houses, like the medicine man. They would put them in nut houses. They would put them, like, all this stuff until like 70 something when they passed the law, or 80 something where you could practice. But for over 100 years, like, they couldn't even practice their spiritual beliefs, you know? So
yeah,
that's why I'm so open about it. I don't care, like, you know, I know it's very uncomfortable for some people, but sometimes, like, I'll say things because I don't care. It's like, all right, well, it's time, you know, like, it's time. Like, I was, like you said, I was born in this time to not care. Like, you know, I always look at it, not that it was a good thing, but I had a lot of life and death experiences when I was pretty young, you know, like out of, like, I always say, like, out of all my friends, I started buying, like, my own life insurance, like, at 18, because I expected to die. Like, I really didn't think, you know, like, every weekend, like, that's how I was going to be. I was like, all right, at least my mom will be cool. So at 18, I started paying for my own life insurance, you know? So that makes me even, it's always helped with stuff like, well, how am I going to be scared of saying something when I didn't even think I was going to be alive, you know, right now? So, damn, there was another thing I was going to ask you. And then, so we could close it, because I don't want to, because I know we could keep going over and over.
Yeah. Plus, my phone is like, it's about to be on 10%. I don't want it to die on us too.
Okay, cool. So I'll just, man, I was gonna say something about what we were talking about. So I'll just say this then, this last thing. So as far as like, okay, I know what I was gonna say. So for example, like, the funny thing is, I've never once asked, like, all my premonitions. I've done the same thing. Like, I've seen people, I guess I must have been astral traveling to see it in real time, like, as they were doing something. I've done all that, you know, and then they were freaked out. But the funny thing is, I've never asked to do it. Not once. I never said, oh, let me see what this person's doing to this day. Like, nothing. So there must be permit, like, the universe is doing it, whoever's doing it, like, for whatever reason, I'm able to see all these things. And sometimes it's every day. And so I think that was one of my fears. Like, if I started doing tarot reading, would it diminish those gifts? Like, you know, almost, but like, well, like, you know, now that I have you here, so has that happened to you? Has that been the case? And obviously it doesn't sound like it, right? Like, when you were doing tarot readings.
No, I think that it's, think me again, my bad. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Okay. I think that it's actually made me more tapped in to, you know, yeah, it's made me more tapped in, I feel, because I'm, you know, now I'm dealing with the spiritual realm for sure. I mean, we all exist with the spirit. There's spirits everywhere, apparently. I guess that's what I think. But yeah, I think that it's also made me more, like, I've become, how do I say this? Like, friends with it. Like, I'm like, there's definitely this connection where things that maybe I wouldn't have been shown before, now it's like they'll show me everything. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm open, like, I'm very open to it, you know? So no, I don't think it's taken away from it. I think that it's if anything, it's made me more connected to it, to different, you know, parts of I don't know, this universe or whatever it is, you know.
No, thank you. And okay, the last question. So do you ever feel, or how do you cleanse, like, do you ever feel the energy, like, people you're reading for? Do you ever feel like if they're going through something, do you feel that energy? And if so, like, how do you get rid of it, or it never affects you? Like it doesn't attach to you or something? Like, do you have to do a ritual to get rid of it or something?
I think that it does as much as I allow it. A lot of times I won't even acknowledge it. But it's funny how you cannot acknowledge something, but your body still feels it. Like I heard someone say before, like we underestimate, you know, the trauma that our body takes on from these experiences. And so I definitely like, it can be a lot. I think too, because I'm a woman. So I feel like women are, I was just saying this the other day, like we are the physical embodiment of receptive energy. So we'll receive a lot, you know, of information and emotions and energy and all this stuff. So I definitely do think that I feel it. I know when people are going through things, I sense it. But what I do is I just try my best to ground myself. You know, I'm a mom, you know, and there's other things that I do need to do. So I'll just, you know, shift my focus. I think I used to kind of like overthink all that. And I mean, I like baths. I think that baths are important. Actually, I was going to do that before the podcast, but I'm going to do that today. I think that's a good way to like release, you know, toxins and things that you take on. But I don't know. I just don't really, I used to have sage. I used to have crystals. I don't have any of that anymore. Because I don't know. I just want to think of myself as a more powerful being, you know, where I don't have to, I guess, have all those tools, but I don't have anything against it. I think that, you know, if it works for you, it works for you. I don't know. I don't really maybe I'm weird in that way in this spiritual world. I don't really like do any of that anymore. But you know, but yeah, I try not to overthink things anymore. I just let it be what it is and just be chill and cool out. And if I need to, like yesterday, I definitely was feeling like anxious, probably was a good word for it. So I just went outside with, you know, my son and just put my feet on the ground and ran around, like kicked the ball with him and stuff like that. Like grounding, I think is really good. But yeah, I think, getting back into the present is the best thing possible. I feel when you're feeling all the feels, I don't know how many times am I going to say feel right now, but when you feel all the feels, I think that being in the present moment and just doing simple things like I'll do laundry or I'll do the dishes or something like that to get back into the moment. I think that's probably maybe a ritual. That sounds simple, but it just kind of dumbs things down so that it's just like not that serious, you know?
No, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, I could probably keep this going, but I'll end it there. Anyways, your phone's telling us that anyways. So.
Yeah, well, you can invite me on again, you know.
Okay. Definitely. I definitely will. Yeah, I'll just have to make notes. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about dreams, all kinds of things. Maybe I'll have experiences. You know, I actually had a crazy dream, you know, not too long ago, which I just won't share because I don't know, the time wise. Well, I'll just share real quick then. So I had this dream, and it was funny because it was right before I hadn't been to a ceremony in over a year. And right before the ceremony, I had this dream, and these beings, I don't know who they were, but they were doing surgery on me, right? And they were operating here, and like, you know, that's where your pineal gland is and all that. And they removed this thing that was like this big old thing, and it was all women. And the woman, like, she's showing everybody, and they're like, oh, wow, that was big. And I'm just like, it's crazy because, I mean, I've remained tapped in all this time, but I know I really was disconnected compared to how I used to be. So it was just interesting that, and so it kind of scared me, like, oh, here comes everything, like, you know, because when I'm tapped in, like I'm tapped in, exaggerated, right? So it made me nervous. I'm kind of nervous. I feel like I'm holding it back still, whatever it is. But it was just the craziest dream, and And then, you know, I went to the ceremony and I had some crazy dreams as well. So, and it was interesting too, to me, that it was all women, right? Like the women, like the one that operated on me, they were all like, you know, I don't know why that part. I guess it makes sense, like how you say you guys, I don't know, the receiving. So they like, I really don't know.
The receptive energy.
Yeah, something. So it was interesting, but yeah, no, I guess I'll just end it on that. Thank you so much. I guess you know, we could talk about the dreams on the next one. And yeah, I'm very honored to have had you as a guest. I really appreciate it.
Be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. No, I thank you for being so open too. So thank you.
Okay. Well, make sure. Yeah. Well, you know, I guess you'll message me and all that with the video and all that, because I got to share it and everything.
Yeah, most definitely. It'll probably take me maybe like maybe by tomorrow, maybe Monday at the latest, but I'll have it up by then. So
okay, no.
Okay. All thank you so much. Okay.
Well, thank you too. Enjoy your day. Okay.
Okay. You too. All right.
All right.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, sometimes you're just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You're just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.